You're listening to the Surrendered Podcast, where we discuss marriage and parenting for women seeking to honor God through our daily lives. Welcome to the Surrendered Life Podcast. I'm so excited to have you guys listen to this episode. My name is Rachel, and today I have a guest with me. This is my friend Stephanie. Stephanie, say hello.
Hi.
She is one of my closest friends from our time that we lived in Florida. And she actually just traveled all 12 hours from Florida to where we're living now outside of Memphis, Tennessee. And she's here for a few days, and we'll kind of tell the story here in just a minute. But I'm super excited to have her on our podcast today. We're going to kind of talk about navigating adult friendships and things like that. But Stephanie, would you just kind of share with the audience, I guess, maybe how we met? Do you remember when we met?
I know we met at church.
Yes, definitely. Uh-huh.
And I don't know if it may have just been one random night.
Yeah, I was trying to think about it too. I know we met there.
Yeah, we met, and it was probably because I heard you.
Maybe because I'm a wee bit loud.
And I heard your accent. I think that's what it was. I heard your accent, and even though my accent is not like yours anymore, being from North Carolina, I was like, oh, she sounds like home. So yeah. And from there, I don't really remember we really talked that much that night, but I do remember.
I feel like my first memory of a conversation with you was in the youth department, but it wasn't like when you were working in the middle school with me. It was before that. So I just remember meeting you guys, and y'all were about to get in your house and all of that. So it's interesting. One of my favorite things to tell people, I actually tell people the story about you and me more than you probably realize, because we didn't become immediate friends. And I just think that's so interesting, because most of the people that I feel I don't know if you feel like this, but most of the time when you become friends with people, it kind of just happens really fast, organically. And I feel like me and you knew each other for a while, but I wouldn't say we were super close. You know? Would you say that?
No, I agree. I think I have a tendency to go towards kids. That's just my heart is little kids. And so I think it was mainly seeing you with Samuel and offering to help.
Yeah.
If you were singing.
Yeah.
And so I think that was where that started. So I probably had that relationship with your kids first.
Yeah. And I would say, I was thinking about when we started to get closer, we did start to become better friends. When I led the middle school ministry at church, you were one of my volunteers. And then from there, not long after, your husband came on staff at the church. And so you guys were just around a lot more. We saw each other a lot more. But I really wouldn't say until I came off staff, I would say we started, and I just had more free time to do things. We started hanging out and doing a lot of things together. So I just think that's so interesting that the first year and a half we knew each other, but we were never in the same season of life. So I think that's also interesting to point out. You have teenagers.
Yes, I have two.
You have two teenagers, and your youngest is my oldest age. And so we're kind of in a different stage of life a little bit, even though we have one kid the same. That's my starting point, and that's your ending point. So how would you say it is parenting teenagers?
It's as hard as people say that it is. I won't lie. I think it's just different because you're parenting different issues.
Yep.
And you're also factoring in friendships. You're factoring in they're thinking for themselves more, and they're getting closer to adulthood, and so everything sinks in. So it's definitely harder.
I've definitely enjoyed being able to watch you and Chris parent teenagers, because I'm heading that direction, but I'm not there yet. And so I always like to watch what other people do who have teenagers, just to get some pointers, because I tell my son all the time, this is the first time I've ever parented a kid your age. So we're learning this together. I love to say that to him. He doesn't appreciate it as much, but okay. So one thing I wanted to point out about our friendship that has been something that has changed my life. before we go into like how we as just girls and women navigate adult friendships, is one of the most unique things about my friendship with Stephanie that I can't say many of my other friendships have this same level, is the ability to have honest conversations without there being huge conflict fallout, high emotions, immediate assumption of attacking. Those things that can happen. Like you're always not. I don't know. People who say they love conflict conversations, I don't know that I believe that, to be honest, because I think everybody's a little uneasy going into them a little bit, but you're one of the friendships that I don't mind coming to you and saying, hey, something you said bothered me, or hey, this is what I perceived. How did you mean that? You're one of the only friends in my life right now that I have that freedom with. And so, I mean, like, talk about, like, do you have that relationship with a lot of other people, or where do you think that came from with me and you?
Well, so I do have it with one of our other mutual friends right
Okay.
now. Um, but with me and you, I don't know if it's because we're very similar,
Mm-hmm.
and because I remember like the first time it did happen, I would say it was because our personalities are both very strong.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came off in a way, and then you took it in a way, and then we were able to talk it through. So
Yeah.
honestly think it's just because we're so similar.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think it's such a blessing because literally last week I told
Yes.
you, I was like, hey, you said something to me and this is how it came across to me. And you had to say to me, no, 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 I was just processing audibly. None of that was at you. I was just processing the situation. And afterwards, I just spent time thanking the Lord, like, how cool it is to have a friendship like that. And so I just kind of want to pause right here and tell people, like, if you don't have an honest friend in your life, you need one. Like, it is so important to not just be surrounded by people. Yes, the encouragement matters. Yes, the pick me ups. Yes, that's also important. But if you don't have someone who's willing to say the hard thing, then you're not having what friendship really can be. And I mean, what's the danger of not having friends like that? I mean, there's so many
Yeah,
dangers.
there is, and I think that's the thing, is that it goes past the superficial. And I'm not
Mhm.
saying you can't have friends and not have these real conversations with them, but when you're able to talk about the hard stuff and you're able to move past that, I feel like your friendship goes at a deeper level.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think like so many people miss that. Like there's so many friendships that I even have friendships like that in my life right now as a mid-30s mom. I know I can only say certain things, or I know I can only go to this level because if I say that, they're going to flip out, or it's going to lead to conflict, and that's maybe a road you've traveled before and it just hasn't had any other successes. And so I mean, I know that I'm in some friendships like that, and I mean, we've talked about it, like sometimes that's just the way friendships have to be. But how beautiful it would be if all of our friendships could have that kind of honesty, because you really need it. And I mean, obviously on the podcast we talk about how important that is in marriage. Yes, like you have to have honesty in marriage, but if you really want to have godly friendships, you got to have some accountability, but also just the freedom to express yourself. Like the other day, like I told you, hey, this hit me this way, and you told me what you were meaning, and it was done.
Yeah.
It was a total of 5 minutes, because it wasn't a big deal.
And I didn't tell you this, but the way you started, since we Marco Polo a lot, the way you started, I could tell something was wrong.
Yeah.
And so I was like, see, I was waiting. I was like, she's either going to tell me, or
Yeah.
I'm going to have to text her and be
Yeah.
like, what's
Yeah.
wrong? Why
Yeah.
are you like this?
Yeah.
Um, but so I appreciate that I could sense that right
Mhm.
away. But yes, I think that's the big thing. Like, we just moved on. Like, we talked
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
But it also is important, just like, not just like in marriage, but similarly, it helps us to just stay humble.
Absolutely.
But it also helps us, especially as females, we're in our feelings a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
And so that can be the thing,
Yeah.
where it's like, you perceived it one way,
Mhm.
I didn't mean it,
Mhm.
but it helps me to also be better about words I choose, but
Yeah.
not walking on eggshells.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's just so helpful. Like, I just look at, I don't know, I've been around some different situations here recently where I've seen people become shells of themselves because they're only surrounded by their one worldview. And I've just seen firsthand how dangerous that can be because you are the only voice you hear. You're the only perspective. And so that becomes the lens that you expect everyone to walk through, which is not possible or realistic. And so you're just constantly offended. You're constantly thinking people are out to get you. You're constantly thinking the world's against you. And boom, Satan's got you isolated and a victim, you know? And how often is that the tactic for women? How often, even in marriage, your husband doesn't understand you. You know, that happens all the time. And so I've just been really reminded in this season of change in my life personally, and just how I feel so out of my element. The Lord's given me groundings in obviously my relationship with Him, and then my relationship with my husband. He grounds me, He keeps me steady. But having friendships that also ground me. Like, I mean, you've said to me recently, I've shared something that was hurting my heart, and you've said, hey, I hear you, but let me give you another perspective on what that whole situation could have been. Like, even if that we're both wrong, even if you're wrong and I'm right, it doesn't matter. Just taking a step back and saying, hold on, let's look through this with a different lens. That is more valuable than we even realize, because that's how we don't get on an island. That's how we don't think we know best. You know, and I don't know about you, but I don't want to be 60 and having no friends. My kids don't want to come over and see me because
Right.
I'm just negative Nancy all the time. Like, I don't want that, you know? I don't want to be this critical spirit, this always people are out to get me, victim mentality. And I've had many a thought in my life, like, how did people, they didn't just wake up one day like this. No, they made these choices happen at our age.
Yeah.
And I don't want that to become me. And so, man, if I haven't told you lately, you are an incredible blessing in my life because you do that for me. And even if sometimes it makes me angry in the moment, I get over it and we talk it through. And that is so valuable.
I agree.
I just think that's so rare. And so, I don't know. I just want to encourage you guys that are listening. If you don't have a friend like that, man, pray that the Lord will give you one. But until you have one, be that friend. You know, be that friend to other people. So let me ask you, Stephanie, when it comes to like friendships, you've got 3 kids, you've got a husband. How do you kind of navigate being intentional with friends, but not letting it get to where it takes the place of your family? Like, have you ever done that wrong?
Yes, absolutely. I was going to say,
Me too.
if Chris were here right now, he would absolutely.
Yeah.
Me and him have had a lot of hard conversations because I am a person that either I give 100% or you're going to get not very much from me.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of times that I have valued friendships more than my marriage, which ultimately that showed a bigger problem. So thankfully, like, I've been able to navigate that. But I would say it's honestly, Chris and I just have a lot of conversations. There's times he'll have to be like when you moved, he would have to be like, you're on your phone marcoing a lot. Like, can you just put it down?
Yeah.
And even with other friends, and those were just little things, and not being offended by him saying, put that down.
Yeah.
I will say, because for the most part, I've been a stay-at-home mom. So doing a lot of outings during the day is what I try to do versus doing them at night, because, you know, we've talked about this. Chris and I, we don't have the same friendships. Like, just because there's another couple doesn't mean I'm friends with the wife.
How often is it that you're friends with one of them, but it's not that y'all are both close to husband and wife? Like, that's so, I don't think that's talked about enough. That is hard to find couple friends.
It is very hard. And I think I don't know if you've ever done this. I've tried to force the friendships between the husbands.
Definitely. Yeah.
And then I just see it's like a disaster and they're miserable. So that very rarely happens. Like, there may be a couple that I could like say that we are like that.
Yeah.
But I think like, just being intentional during the day, or if it may be like occasionally saying like, hey, I want to hang out with this friend in the evening, and But I think ultimately communication, and I know people hit on that a lot,
Oh, yeah.
but communication with your spouse to
So
say,
important.
just to check in and make sure
Yeah.
that they're feeling
Yeah.
valued.
Honestly, like, I think Christopher and Alex are similar in that, like, Alex normally won't mind if I make plans with people, but he wants to be included
Yes.
in the process. He doesn't want to find out last minute, and he doesn't want it to seem like he's an afterthought that oh, by the way, people are coming in 30 minutes. Like, and I've also done that
Yeah.
wrong before, and that's why that frustrates him, right? And so, yeah, I think it's so important to, like, communicate and all of that. But it's hard because, I feel like friendships, we have to be intentional to keep them, but then we have to be intentional with our spouse, and then we have to be intentional with our kids. Oh,
Yes.
we got to be intentional with our time with the Lord. It's just like this constant theme. And I've heard one of the questions somebody just recently sent into me was, I don't know how to be intentional with the Lord, my husband, my friends, my kids, and not go crazy.
Right.
Like, how do I do all of these things well and not be just chasing my tail around all day?
Well, and I think it's important to remember there's seasons for everything.
Absolutely.
I had 3 under 4, and so mine are really close in age, and so those seasons were very different.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were plenty of times where my kids just ran around, and being with friends literally was just sitting there, maybe
Mhm.
drinking coffee or just watching our
Yeah.
friends play.
Yeah.
Now I'm in a very different season to where my teenagers want to go off and do things.
Mhm.
So even then I juggled, do I become friends with every parent
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
my kid wants to hang out with?
Mhm.
Um, and so that's definitely been an added struggle.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know. I wanted to kind of navigate answering that question a little bit here on this podcast. But yeah, I definitely think that's great. Like, remember that you have seasons. And so, like, the person who asked me that, they do have young kids. And so, I would just encourage you, if you do have young kids, I don't think you need to have high expectations for friendships. I think if somebody else has like age kids, yeah, have a coffee play date, do something once a week.
Well, one thing I was gonna add, one friendship that was unexpected too that started was because she had teenagers, and it's
Mhm.
almost like the reversal of me and you, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, and so I was like, "What do we have in common?"
Mm.
Because you have teenagers, but it ended up being where her daughter babysat for us,
Yeah.
and so the relationship was very different.
Yeah.
It wasn't our kids playing, but more her daughter helping, and then me and
Yeah.
her would do stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think that's even for me as a friend, what I think about when people have
Mhm.
young kids
Mhm.
is sometimes how can I even
Yeah.
help them with
Yeah,
that?
because that's what, like, Stephanie has teenagers. I have younger kids, but her kids do help babysit my kids all, when we live together
Yeah.
in the same town
No, they don't.
all the time. But yeah, I don't know, I would just encourage you, mom, to not bite off more than you should be
Yes.
chewing. I think I've said this before on the podcast. I think the enemy does so much to moms at making them feel like they're not good enough at whatever they're doing. And it's such a lie from the enemy. Like, you look at times back in the old days, I mean, they weren't playing with their kids. Their kids were off working. I mean, the childhoods that our kids get because so many moms want to be present and intentional and homeschooling their kids or just being the best mom they can be. Like, we have no idea how great of a job we're doing. And yes, could we always do better? Absolutely. But I just think the enemy wants to make you feel like you're not good enough or you're not doing enough to keep you too busy
Yes.
to do anything well.
I was gonna say that. I think the enemy definitely wants us to be busy and uses that because if we're not careful, we can schedule something
Yeah.
every single day with friends, and I've done that.
Oh, me too.
And I become exhausted, and then I
Yeah.
have nothing to give my
Mhm.
husband, nothing to give my family, and so it's just understanding that outside of the Lord, those are your priorities.
Yeah.
Like, friends
Yeah.
are important and necessary, but you don't have to be busy with them every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do exciting stuff. You can
No, you can
sit
just
and
hang
watch a
out.
tennis match together.
She's saying that because she had to watch a tennis match with me today. And it was a great match, by the way. Um, but yeah, I mean, I just really believe that the Lord gave you your kids for a reason. Your spouse, the Lord is sovereign, and that's who the Lord has for you. And so I would just encourage moms that are kind of going through that, just to remember what matters most. And it does matter most that your relationship with the Lord, your relationship with your spouse are high priorities. Those need to be your highest priorities, and then your children. And so, like, where I am right now in my life, I'm not prioritizing friendships as much as I used to, because my family takes precedent. And so now there's going to come seasons where my kids are older and that won't be the case. But my bandwidth, and I've spoken to my husband about this too, my bandwidth is I don't have time to do 2 gatherings with friends a week anymore. I cherish us having dinner. And right now, me and my kids and my husband, we're playing games every night. And I don't want that to end. And so I just think it's okay to not be invited to every play date. Like, social media makes us think that we're not doing momhood right if we're not at coffee dates at the playground 3 times a week. Listen, that's great if that's you, but you don't have to be that mom. You don't have to be the social mom that never misses anything. Like, put FOMO to the side and just be whatever. If you feel led to do that, go to the park, go call somebody up. But it's also okay to just sit at home with your family and your kids.
Right. And it's okay to say no.
It's okay to say no.
And I know that's basically what you just said, but I struggled with that
Mhm.
because if someone invited me, I was a people pleaser. I wanted to do
Yeah,
it. And
yeah.
thankfully, the Lord has worked on that.
Mhm.
And just understanding I'm not going to be close with every single person that comes into
Yeah.
my life. And that's okay
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. So one thing that I had to learn, and I mean, I'm going to let you speak to this as well, is that when we were first early married, I had a lot of like daddy issues, and then I went from one relationship to another. And so when we got married, I really had to find out how to have my identity in the Lord. And it was not fully in the Lord because I was newly saved. I got saved 9 months before we got married. So I was very new to knowing the Lord. And friendships became my identity. I was the friend. I was the one that brought circles together. And I was the one that we had everything at my house. And I had the game nights and the themed birthday parties. I threw everybody's birthday party. I had no money because I was spending it all at Hobby Lobby. And we didn't have that kind of money, if you know what I mean. And so, but that was my identity. I had to be the friend that did all the things. And I lost my identity in it, and I would get so hurt because after a while, I would just feel like I didn't really mean that much to anybody else. It was always me putting in all the effort. Not always, like, I had great friends too, but I did have to be that intentional one most of the time. And it really took me moving. The Lord moved us states multiple times. I know you've been through that.
Yes.
For me when we moved to Texas, I knew nobody, and I was so sad. I was like, how am I going to be the friend? Well, I don't know anybody. I mean, it devastated me, but it also stripped me of that friends being my identity, and the Lord reorganized all of that in my heart. And so, I don't know, how have you navigated not having have you struggled with identity in friends?
Um, I have. It's not where I struggle the most, but I have struggled with that. And I think a lot of times we just had a unique experience with our children dealing with health issues early on. And that kind of really changed our focus. So a lot of times mine was more insecurity of, are my friends going to be able to handle what we're dealing with?
I gotcha.
And so I would say that challenged things, but it also grew me. And so by the time we moved to Florida, because we lived in Texas too, I was very similar to you in Texas. By the time we moved to Florida, I actually didn't want friends. I was like,
Interesting.
I don't want to be the outgoing one anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. I don't want
Yeah.
to go through this. So I don't want friends. So I actually went through like more
Yeah.
of the opposite of that being my identity. I just wanted to be in the background
Yeah.
and left alone.
I completely understand that because that's where I am now. And if the people in Florida saw me today, they'd be like, "What's wrong with you?" But I'm there because I'm okay with not having the most friends in the room anymore. I'm okay with Alex being the only one that knows me in the room because I know I have the Lord. I think that's so freeing that we can be there. I've told Alex many times, this is just going to be a season where I don't have a lot of friends, and that's okay. Because I think it's going to allow the Lord to give me deep, meaningful friendships at this new church that we just started. My husband's the worship pastor there, and we've been there a couple of weeks. And but I totally understand what you're saying, because this is the first time in my life that I have been at peace not having a ton of friends, because I just know that the Lord's enough.
Right.
So that's really cool. I didn't even know she was going to say that. So that's really cool. Okay, the last thing I kind of want to share, and then we'll kind of wrap up. So I kind of want to talk about, I've mentioned it before, but I feel like me and you, we are similar. We tend to be the ones that put in a lot of the work in friendships. And so what would you say to someone who feels discouraged because they feel like the only friendships in their life that are happening, they're putting in all the effort? Like, do you have wisdom that you've learned from, because I know me and you both
Yes.
have that tendency. So what would you share to someone struggling with that?
So I would first of all say, what is your reasoning for it? Like, what is your purpose? Is it because you truly feel led to pursue this person, or is it more because you just want to continue being that person you talked about that's like drawing people in? So like, what is your motive? The other thing, it took like a couple of years for a couple of friends in Texas to share with me that the Lord used me to draw them out of their shell. And I saw that, but I didn't realize how much the impact was. And I just kept pursuing them because I knew that it was harder for them. And so just realizing that even if it's not in your timing, the Lord may be doing something bigger. And it may not even be that friendship alone grows, but it helps you to know just who you are as a friend and what you want. But I also think it's important, though, to realize there are sometimes, I won't say walk away from friendships, but there are times to really reevaluate, to determine and spend time in prayer. But is that a friendship that you really need to keep pursuing? Because it could be that there are issues on their side.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. I've had people share that with me before too, like, oh, once you move, we're never going to get together because you're the one that always got us all together. And truly, like, I've moved from places and they stopped hanging out. And that kind of broke my heart because it just seems wasted, But the Lord has shown me something similar, that like, this is a gift. Like, the gift of hospitality is in the Bible. Like, it is a true gift. And if you have that gift, use it in your local body, use it in your community, because the Lord is using you, like you said, in your life. That helps women so much, because a lot of them are just afraid to put themselves out there. And if you're not, then go into a room and build community, because that's going to change lives. I'm so thankful that the Lord chose to give me that gift, but it does get draining sometimes. It's like being mom. Sometimes it's just like, man, I got to do the dishes again,
right.
But so there is a push and pull here with, we don't let that become our identity either, because then we lack boundaries. And the Lord, even though he had abundant of every gift, he picked and chose when it was time to go and preach, when it was time to minister and heal, and when it was time to rest, and when it was time to just spend time with his close chosen few. And so we have to look at that model, because again, I think sometimes we may mean well, but we're not God.
Right.
And we can't fix everybody. And that can't be our heart.
Right.
We have to be led by the Holy Spirit. And so, yeah, I would just challenge someone who's struggling with that. Just know that you're not alone. It's hard being the intentional friend.
It is.
It's hard being the hospitable friend, but it's also a gift. But you have to take that to the Lord and just say, all right, is this a door you want me to pursue? Is this a door I need to just pause? Like right now, I'm really not being super intentional. And I have such a peace about that, because that's just the season where I'm at. Doesn't mean I won't be there again. Right. But right now, I just need to rest. I need to heal. and I need my relationship with the Lord to abundantly change my perspective as I walk through this next door. And so that's where I'm at personally. And so I don't know if you have anything to add, just like encouragement to the intentional friend.
I mean, I feel like we've covered a lot. Um, I would just, the only thing I can really think of is, and we did hit on this, but is to be intentional with the Lord, because you just said this, but another friend told me one time, she was like, "You're not my Holy Spirit."
Yeah, yeah.
And so, but it was because I started making that friendship become a focus, because I wanted them to grow and have friends or to be able to do stuff. And so I try to take the place of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And so with that, just realizing coming before the Lord, just like you do with everything else, and spend time in prayer, but using scripture, like asking the Lord to use scripture to show you how to approach these situations.
Absolutely.
And I know for I know for, like, if you're in a church, like getting involved in church
for
is a
sure.
really big thing, or just in a community. And right now I'm in a different season. I'm in a season where my own thing, I've had to go through some healing, like over some things. And so I have maybe 2 or 3 that I'm close to, and then you.
Yeah.
And other than that, that's okay. And just remembering it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Like, your friendships can look different than someone else's. And don't let social media make you think you're behind or something, because honestly, like, I've learned in the 36 years of navigating friendships, I'd rather have 2 or 3 that actually have my back and I trust my name is safe in their mouth when I'm out of the room than a whole room full of people that I'm not sure I could say that. So,
and that's what I mean, that's another great point, though, is to make sure your friendships they're trustworthy.
meaningful.
And the ones that are not, just be very wise with what you share.
Yeah.
And
and I think we've both probably learned that the hard way. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I failed at that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
had another friend call me out on that. And, just being intentional and being wise with your words.
Yeah, we could have a whole nother episode about handling words and gossip, because I think we've both learned a lot of lessons there too. But I'm going to wrap this up because we're out of time. But I just would say, for a friendship to really be life-changing, there really does need to be effort on both sides. And so pray for friendships like that. Be that friend, but don't let your identity be in whether or not you have it, because the Lord is sovereign, and the people he brings into your life are by no accident. Some are for ministry, some are for encouragement, and you just kind of have to trust the hand of the Lord, because he's over all. For sure. So thank you so much for coming on my podcast. This was your first time, right?
Yes.
Are you going to come back?
Maybe.
Okay. Wasn't a no. Thank you guys so much for listening. I pray that this ministered and blessed you. And if you liked it, I'd love for you to subscribe, share it with your friends, and let it be an encouragement to them as well. Be blessed. You have been listening to the Surrendered Podcast. I hope today's episode was an encouragement to you. And if it spoke to you, I just want to invite you to like this message, share it, comment, and I look forward to connecting with each one of you.